What's up, guys and gals, and welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be taking a peek at Beneath the Mountain. I had the misfortune of covering, this is not a bad thing, all right? I got to preface a statement like this by saying it's not a bad thing. I had the misfortune of covering the demo of this game probably about 2 months prior to its release. And now, because there's such an enormous amount of interest in anything that has to do with dwarves, the game has been out. Like, it came out probably like 3 weeks after I covered it last without me actually knowing. It was just like an itch.io demo back then. And so anyways, I wanted to update my coverage because it seems like they've been pushing out updates and they've been working on the game. And so I wanted to have something current that could like stand for like the next year or so before I get a chance to cover the game. And so that's what we're doing here today. This is basically a revision of my last coverage. Beneath the Mountain is a game that's a lot like They Are Billions. That's kind of what it's aiming to be, just with dwarves up against goblins and orcs and cyclopses and all that kind of stuff. Where you build up a dwarvish colony underneath the ground. It's a real-time strategy game. It obviously has a very, very clear influence from games like Dungeon Keeper, for example, is what the game really, really reminds me of. Like, Dungeon Keeper meets somewhere in the middle and has a baby with They Are Billions. And so anyways, we're building up a dwarf colony deep beneath the soil. The game is gloomy and dark and has lots of like orange hues from torches and flames and things of that nature. We're going to dive on in today. We're going to take a look at it for about 35 minutes and see if it's something you wanted to add to your wish list. As of right now, I've got a colony pre-built because I didn't feel like it was fair to go from like the beginning of the game again, you know what I mean? We might as well hit it from a different angle. So this time I've got like an established colony. It's up, it's moving, it's doing its thing, and we're going to try to survive the never-ending onslaught of greenskins that want to annihilate us. If after watching this video you wanted to get it for yourself, you can take a look down below in the description. I got a link for you down there. On top of that, you can also find a link to my Discord and my Twitch stream, just in case you wanted to hang out live on any given day of the week. I usually ping the Discord before I go live because I don't really have a streaming schedule anymore. So this is my colony. Let me give you a tour. So the basics. We've got our barracks. This is where we train up more dwarf soldiers to fight and destroy the enemy with our obvious dwarf superiority. Over here, we've got ourselves houses. These increase our population cap. We've got a brewery, because what are dwarves without a huge supply of beer and inebriation? I always like to think that dwarves are kind of the manifestation of headbutting and just complete and total alcoholism. On top of that, we've also got a tavern that gives that beer out. It's actually a healing mechanism, so when your dwarves get injured, they don't regenerate in this game, like at all. They don't regenerate even a little tiny bit. Instead, what will happen is after they get done with the fight, they'll go back to the tavern, they'll eat, and they will feel better. We've got manufactories happening over here. So I've got like a cog place. It's producing cogs up here that we use for booby traps. We've got ourselves a treasury to increase my cap on gold. We've got ourselves a blacksmith, which will allow me to create better weapons for my troops. Unfortunately, I have no iron to support this industry right now, so that's probably going to be my next endeavor. We need to get some smelters and things up and running. Otherwise, you know, we're not going to have much iron to play around with. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. It doesn't look like I can really build anything over there. I've kind of cleared out a lot of this area, but the usable space leaves something to be desired. I don't know why it doesn't like that spot right there. It does like that spot right there, though. So maybe I'll just slap one in right on that spot. There are different tiles. We can mine these tiles. They will give us varying amounts of gold as we mine them. And of course, we are under attack by orcs right now, because what would this game be without some sense of fair play and antagonism? So it looks like the enemy is coming up through this tunnel right here. I would like to deploy a new trap over here just to kind of like, you know, keep the enemy on their toes. Let them feel the sting a little bit. And so we'll probably put in like a spear trap like right there. Actually, that goes the opposite direction and it uses up equitable space from that side. So instead, we'll probably put a spear trap right there. And as you can see, there are many, many orcs that are doing like the here we go thing, and they are thundering on into my territory. As you can see, my traps are beginning to kill things, thin out the numbers, make life a little bit easier. Your traps do have a limit on how much they can fire. It looks like we eliminated a pretty big chunk of the horde right right there, actually, like 7 or 8 of them, before they even got to our front gates, which is really, really nice. The enemy attacks through different lanes that you're going to have to discover as you play the game. They can attack from different angles. There's a number of tunnels that lead out to the edge of the map where the enemies enter from. And so don't make the mistake of thinking that enemies can only come from one direction and booby trap one area with all of your resources. Otherwise, you will regret that decision. I've got like a little guy over here, and he's not looking so good. Where's his health at? There we go. Let's go ahead and pull him out of the fray real fast. Your units do gain XP, and they do become veterans, and so you want to preserve their lives as much as you possibly can in the attempt at fighting the enemy. Like a elite dwarf dying is like a really bad thing in this game. You don't want that to occur. All you guys dogpile that armored orc right there. You definitely don't go back into combat. We've got, let's send you on back to the tavern real fast. In fact, let's do that for like everybody that's wounded. You go back to the tavern. You go back to the tavern. Basically, everybody kind of get out of the fray right now and do a little bit of micromanaging. There we go. If we micromanage a little bit, I have no doubt that our thunderous boys with beards will survive this experience and come back the better for it. Whoever kills this guy is probably going to get, yeah, Magnus Greyhammer. My king got the kill on that guy. Very nice. And so my king inked out the destruction there, and he has officially hit level 4, which means he's getting like big buffs. Basically, you get 5% to all of your stats for every single time you level up. It's a big deal. You don't want a dwarf that's like level 5 to die. That's very painful because really he's priceless. You can't pay to replace him mostly. I do have a little bit of population cap to play around with. We've got a greenskin army coming on in pretty soon. I do have the opportunity to deploy some more traps, and I do feel as though that might be wise. So we've got a floor spear trap. It does it on trigger, but it takes a while to reset. We've got a trap that triggers 3 times. Let's go ahead and we'll just kind of lay a couple more down on that side. Basically, I want it to be hyper deadly if the enemy wanders on into this area. This dwarf, he's an engineer. Engineers, I'd like to see the controls for engineers modified. So engineers in this game are cool. They do cool dwarf things. But that having been said, you know how when you play Dungeon Keeper, when your units are idle, they kind of wander around and they build walls and they put in torches and they kind of like beautify the place and they make it suck less. The engineers in this game do the exact same thing. The only problem is they try to do the entire dungeon. Like everywhere at all times, they try to basically set up walls and put in torches and things like that. I would like the ability, so if you've ever played RimWorld before, RimWorld has the ability where you can designate certain things as like a home zone, basically. And in designating that home zone, I want to make sure I'm not creating another access to my base over here, but it's so dark. It's really hard to tell. Let me get a torch down over here, too. I'll send an engineer out this way. And just maybe we'll be able to see what's over this way to figure out if I can mine that area. I've done a pretty good job on this floor, mining out basically everything. It's going to be time pretty soon to go down to a lower level and get resources from there. For now, I'm kind of just making space while the sun is shining. There's not really too much more about it other than that. Our cash flow has gotten, unfortunately, quite low. Hopefully they get that torch done soon. Torch, can you be finished, please? Thank you, Torch. It looks like that crevasse continues down that way. So maybe I'll continue eliminating walls over here. It looks like we do have a solid little payload coming in from right here. Your houses, they also generate tax revenue. So for every single house you have inside your colony, you will receive, I think, $10 every X amount of time. So I'm on day 270 right now. I think a day is like 10 or 15 seconds long. I don't know if you get paid daily from the houses. I doubt it's that fast, in all honesty. I feel like I would feel it economically if it was happening with that sense of rapidity. I do want to... Where's my blacksmith at? So I've got a blacksmith. What does that do right there? Reinforced shields, +2 block amount, 3% block chance for dwarf warriors and iron guard units. Send it. Let's do it. I need upgrades, and I need my troops to be stronger. Aside from that, I also need to pick up some archers to give me an actual contiguous back line that can fire arrows at the enemy while these guys are all scrumming and sort of like meeting in the middle and generally doing dwarvish hakas and things like that. A little bit more money coming in from that side. I don't know if it's going to be a life-changing amount. We do have some runic energy that we can spend. So as your colony exists for like a longer amount of time, the game assumes that you're generating culture. Like, there are grizzled old dwarves with white beards that can no longer fight that are sitting around in the tavern all day, just sort of relaying dwarf culture. And that's manifested through this system, which for all intents and purposes is research. Just with extra grumpiness and extra swearing because dwarves. And so anyways, we spend this on perks. However, one thing you want to be very aware of in this game is that you have a limited amount of perks that you can actually deploy for the entire game. This is where some of the replayability comes from. The game is fully procedural. No two caves that you play in will be identical. They will all be different from one another. And on top of having to deal with the constraints of caves that may be somewhat foreign or hard to figure out because they're procedural and you don't have a map, you also have to pick your research very, very carefully. So for our king, we can only pick 7 upgrades. However, as you can see over here, there's like 20 different upgrades that we can play around with. For mining, we can only ever have what looks like 7 as well. In fact, I think for most of these, we get 7 upgrades. But there are way more upgrades than you're going to be able to get. Now, not all of them are implemented because the game is in early access and actively being worked on. But one thing I do like about the game is that the upgrades do seem to be meaningful. There's a lot of games out there where the upgrades are just like, okay, whatever. Like, I'll work on it because it's something, but it's not great. In this game, the upgrades are very, very meaningful. They matter. And so anyways, you have everything from getting free units. You have things, we get extra damage versus orcs and goblins. Yeah, I'll take that. 15% is no joke. And then you receive gold for every orc skull depending on the size and strength of the creature. Orcs killed by traps do not count. That actually sounds pretty good too. I'll take it. Let's get money coming in from different angles. Diversifying our dwarfish Robin Hood portfolio. Making sure that we've got cash and dividends and things happening. Making us feel like an important guy. But for now, I think all we really have to do is like kind of hang out and wait. I can afford to get another forge going, which I think is actually not a terrible idea. I don't know exactly why it hates my forges facing this way, but it does. If you see that dwarf right there zooming, it's because you can build networks of minecarts. You can just barely see them right here. You can build networks of minecarts that travel people around. And actually, they are going to be a thing that economics is going to dictate. You're going to run into pretty serious stop blocks in your economy if you force your workers to run around mining all the time. So if you're mining an area that's kind of far off, I do highly recommend that you deploy minecarts. It's a really, really good idea. We'll destroy some of these minecarts because it's going to free up some area back here for building. And then from there, I don't really know what else that I want to do. I'll probably rebuild my mining over here so that we can start whittling away at this outer edge. But there is risk involved with that task because if I mine through this wall right here, it's going to basically make my stronghold porous. Things are going to flow through it, and they're going to be green, and they are going to be angry, and they're going to be like, football hooligans, just kind of burning down and destroying everything. Now, from the outline right there, you can see there's a zombie inside this cave, which means there's actually probably about a gazillion zombies inside that cave, if I'm being honest. There is a world map. What this is going to do to affect the overall gameplay, I don't really know. I'm really, really hoping, in fact, they will allow you to invade the orcish areas and annihilate them. It does seem like some diplomacy is intended because it goes out of its way to tell you, we're in Dunmorton right now. But it says here that there are many other dwarvish kingdoms, and we are allied with all of them. And so I'm guessing that at some point, this game is going to have a diplomacy system where you can ask for soldiers, or you can ask for resources, and you can trade and do exports. At least I'm hoping that's where they're going with it, because I think it would add a really, really nice layer of extra depth. And as soon as they get done with the mining over here, it's going to be time to tear this bad boy down. That bad boy done been torn. And we've got to decide where we want this mining camp to go. It looks like I can get a mining camp in sort of over there. I can also deploy a mining camp, kind of, invalid build position. Okay. Well, that's fine. I didn't want to do anything useful with my time anyways. We'll put it in right there, and then we'll get them to work kind of whittling out this entire corner of the map, giving us a maximum strength area of building so that we can continue to develop our economy and get stronger. The cogs, they are almost exclusively used for traps, although certain mechanized units do use them. We have archers in here, and we've got dwarven berserkers, and we've got other things. I haven't researched them yet, and in fact, I don't exactly know how I get those guys. The Longbeards come from iron, but we don't have enough iron to necessarily do them yet. So anyways, the Iron Guards also come from iron, but the Berserkers, I don't know exactly how we get Berserkers just yet. Haven't gotten there. We do need to develop out our smelting economy, though. We need to both smelt it and dealt it for right now. Otherwise, things are not going to work out for us. And so anyways, mining camp is going up. Once we deal with this wave, I'm going to knock the cork out on this wall. We'll bring like 7 or 8 of our dwarves down here. We'll wipe out all the zombies, kill every single one of them. It looks like there's a chasm over there too, which is actually kind of nice. We need to be careful about the way that we chisel at that chasm, but that should give us a nice little cash flow as time goes along. I don't know, all of my miners, yeah, they should relocate themselves over to this side as they're able to reach the things that we want to mine. And that, no, do not mine that. That's a terrible idea. Mining that is the worst of the ideas. There are many ideas in this subterranean kingdom, but the most debased of them is mining that dirt right there. That is the sacred dirt. No one is allowed to touch that dirt. I will hang them up by their beard. And our final attack has arrived. We'll see what angle it comes from. Oh, good. It's coming from down this way. You want to prioritize the wizards during these raids. The wizards are absurdly strong. You need the wizards to go, and you need the wizards to go like right now. During a wave, we can't deploy traps, so I've sort of overplayed my hand there a little bit. I guess I can put in a lightning trap right there, though, just to help out with a few more grudges on the enemy. There we go. Wipe out a few of them. Actually, the trap grid is doing a really good job right now. Let them get the full force of the traps before we meet in combat. There we go. Combat has been adjoined, abridged. This guy has been frozen, unfortunately. That's not great. I would prefer that he not be frozen. The wizard messed up and fizzled one of his spells over there, so that's fantastic. I want all you guys focused on Big Dog right here. Big Dog gotta go. We're probably going to lose a dwarf or two in this fight. I'm okay with some casualties as long as they're not like the elite casualties. And then the other thing we need to do is, where is that orcish wizard at? I don't see him. There he is. King. Go assassinate the wizard. That's your entire job for right now. The wizard gots to go. You get on out of the front line. We lost a dwarf right there. Let's go ahead and I'll queue up like 3 more dwarves to replace the ones that we've lost. I don't know how many dwarves are ultimately going to die in this conflict. Probably a few. These battles are getting pretty intense. All you guys focus on the big guy over here. All of you guys focus on the big guy over here. The big guys, you definitely want to get them. Kill him off. And it looks like things are swinging in our favor right now. I do like the animations in this game. I do think they are well done. I think overall the game is pleasing to the eye and looks good. So there's a few more dwarves to replace the ones we lost. 2 more dwarves and we should be all right. I'll keep an eye on these guys and we'll see if they go back and they start kind of like refueling off of liquor and all that kind of stuff. For now, I want more lightning traps. Lightning traps seem to be the secret to me surviving and eliminating like half of an enemy wave before it gets here. And I think this corridor is pretty thoroughly taken care of at this point. Like I'm reasonably happy with the way that it's laid out. However, ooh, what happened over here? Hold up. Our building's under attack. What happened there? Oh, there was a cavern over here. So when we popped that right there, it looks like there's a whole bunch of little stingy beasts. King, you should not be involved in this fight. That's the way that I feel about it. You should not be involved whatsoever. Let's go ahead and wipe out that bug. And in fact, if the king dies, we lose. So let's send him over to the tavern real fast. I'm going to send everybody over to the tavern, in all honesty. But we'll kill off the bug menace that we have first. There we go. Bug menace annihilated. Safety assured. Dwarvish supremacy concretely established. We have no attacks coming. That means that this is principally a really, really good time for us to start popping open walls and sort of making hay while the sun is shining. We do have another runic knowledge, which I think is good. I like to go to the buildings menu because I find that a lot of these upgrades from the buildings menu, they make your guys get a lot more benefit from food. Like, they kind of get like one big boost from eating food permanently that raises their stats. And so, like, I like that idea right there. So we're going to go with that. That's going to increase our dwarves. Basically, it's going to increase their block power. It's going to increase their attack power. It's going to do all that fun stuff. As you can see, all of our food surplus is being used right now to heal dwarves. I've got a number of upgrades over here that make it so every time a dwarf eats food, they exchange knowledge. So basically, they've got kind of this conceptualization in some of the upgrades where you're raising a pint to the ancestors and culture is being transferred, and old dwarves are talking about their past glories and whatnot, just to kind of, I guess, reflect the fact that people don't just drink and eat food and feel better about life and things of that nature. They have conversations. They're communal. Like, dwarves are highly based on tradition, and I actually like the way in which a lot of the upgrades in this game, they reward your dwarves for, like, eating food together, or they give your dwarves buffs for sort of like communing at a temple or something like that. And they're meaningful buffs. They're permanent buffs that give your characters like damage mitigation for the rest of the game, or they give your dwarves extra attack power for the rest of the game, or extra HP. I like that. It reflects sort of knowledge being given in between dwarves of varying ages very, very well, and I dig that idea. I do think our food output is going to have to get a little bit better. Yeah, it looks like a lot of our dwarves are over here waiting to heal. And so we do have access to a building that is called a mushroom farm. We can either do the mushroom farm or we can add in more breweries. Breweries allow us to stockpile more food, so they increase our food cap, but they don't generate food quite as fast as other buildings. So I guess I'll plop 2 of those guys down. That'll get us up to like, +6, +7 food, and it'll give us like 40 food stored inside of our coffers in order to make life easier. And now, by clearing out this cave, we should have access to a few more money tiles. So I'm just going to tell these little guys to get to work. That's pretty much it. Like, everybody get on in there, grab a pickaxe. There are tasks to be done in the deep. Looks like there's no more caves to worry about for a little bit. So we should be able to just kind of like mine freely and have a good time over here. And as you can see, they're dropping off all the money that they're getting out of the walls too. Great. That's good stuff. The engineers are arriving up here and basically getting these buildings done. I have 3 of them. I haven't really had a need for more than 3 engineers so far. What's down on the lower level over here? Because I know we dropped the ladder down. Is it anything like horrifically terrible? See something, but it looks like it's mostly bugs. Maybe I'll send an expeditionary force down there? Just like a little bit. Just like un poco. You know what I mean? And I don't know exactly. They come down that way. There we go. All right, well, you guys get on in here. Oh, we've got a new type of bug on the second floor. Kind of a gangster green bug. I'm a little bit worried about what the gangster green bug is going to do. That sort of concerns me on a certain level. Oh, he explodinates. I feel like that was probably... You could probably extrapolate that just from their appearance. War is going okay. Soldiers are gaining XP. Lots of grunting, obviously. That's the grunting of a headbutt being well thrown, if you're not familiar with the dwarf language. They have very, very special rules for headbutting, biting, generally things that are considered to be like a dirty blow. Oh, are they poisoned? They appear to be poisoned. All right, well, it looks like the poison falls off, so it's not like a problem of permanence. So that's good. Oh, we have like 2 waves coming in at the same time. A scouting party and greenskin mages. Brutal. We may actually need to kind of like batten down the hatches for this. Go ahead and get me 5 tunnel scouts. These are guys with crossbows. They can sit in the back lines and just kind of like whip, whip, whip. I prefer that they have guns. I always see dwarves in my head as having like muskets and, like rotating barrels that are like and then they like rack a slide and the whole thing rotates, and it's got like 4 barrels that are full of sort of like language barrages, like grape shot basically. But you know, dwarves are always open for interpretation when it comes to games like this. We are going to need to batten down the hatches here. We don't know what direction we're going to get hit from, and I'm a little bit concerned that if it comes from this direction, that's going to be a bit of a situation. Now, this may be our wipe event right here. The greenskin mages on top of greenskin scouts, that's kind of bad. That's not good. I would prefer that there not be any overlap on the raids, but from time to time it seems to happen. Sometimes it wipes my colony, sometimes it doesn't. It's just a good idea to sort of be aware of the fact that you are always under threat and bad things are going to happen. Let's go with, as you collect tax, you get a 15% interest payment on any gold holdings. That's not bad. Magic, I don't even have magic yet. We do have rune priests. I'd like to get them up and running by the end of the video, but it hasn't happened yet. Aim for the eyes gives our tunnel scouts 30% more damage against large-sized enemies. That actually feels like a force multiplier that I can get behind. I like that idea. I would like to line more areas with traps. I haven't really gotten around to this area over here yet, but I don't really have any money either. We've got a little bit of time to play around with before this next wave slams into the side of our colony. So I'll keep it in mind. But for now, we've got 10 miners. Are they doing anything useful down here? Sort of would be the answer to that question. Go ahead and install a lamp down here because I can't even see what I'm mining on anymore. It looks like we've got some kind of flying enemy down there that we're going to have to deal with. However, there's 2 good deposits of gold right here that we can get to right this second. I'm going to tell them to prioritize it by right-clicking. You do have that ability. When you have multiple tiles prioritized, though, there's really no telling what they're going to go after. However, this is a good way to streamline your economy and get it going if there's, like, money tiles that you want to get after right now. And since we're a little bit depleted on funds, I feel okay with that situation. So we're kind of hitting the edge of the map right there. Okay. That's fine. Not too worried about it. What I am worried about, though, is we definitely don't want to make any kind of hole or any kind of puncturing in this wall over here. That's going to be real bad. I sort of wonder if I put a rallying ground over here. So there's a building called a rallying ground. Oh, Berserker Hall gives me berserkers. Anyways, a formation ground. The formation ground, it says that I can rest and eat as though at a tavern. I'm kind of wondering if I put that in close proximity to everybody, how will that work, you know? Like, can they actively eat in combat? Because that right there probably just solved my problems for the remainder of the game. I can't imagine something like that would be balanced, but, you know. We can also buy some upgrades here. So +2 attack for all infantry, +3 armor for all infantry, attack speed to axe guards and units. Yeah, let's call it steel weapons real fast. Apparently we're just wielding bronze or copper or something right now as the crow flies. And so anyways, probably getting some upgrades might not be the worst idea that we've ever had. Let's increase everybody's armor too, because this game definitely seems to want you to be moving in that direction. We do have a hole that we can knock in a wall right there. I'm not going to knock a hole in it just yet. But I could use another lamp over here too. I can't see a damn thing. Gives better vision. Yeah, do a stone lamppost right there then, I guess. We'll break that one down. This game, the visibility doesn't seem to really do anything in this game. At least not that I've seen so far, other than, like, you can see. So, like, if you fight in darkness, I haven't noticed any prevailing debuff or anything. That's been an issue for my characters. They seem to be fine. We'll go ahead and put the rally point over there. I need my soldiers to kind of be ready to adapt to any situation that comes up. Keep the king protected. We'll have the guys with the guns in the back, and I'll try to micro them during the fight to go after big enemies since they get that 30% damage increase against enemies. It seems like a very efficient thing to do. I'm going to try to capture this cave next because I see a few good money tiles in there that I can't get until I get myself in there. And cash flow does seem to have taken a bit of a sidelining right now. Like, we're not bringing in the mun-muns that we used to bring in. It does look like this first wave is coming through our most fortified lair, which is great. That's fantastic. I love that. That's good. There's nothing I desire more. Like, this is the lair that gives us the best results. Ooh, okay. Yeah, pretty significant scuffing just in that first hallway right there. Spear traps are going off. Man, there ain't gonna be nothing but remnants left by the time they get in here. Very nice. And they didn't bring any giants or anything with them, so that's also gonna make this a little bit less egregious of a fight. This should mostly just be cleanup duty. Be careful about allowing your dwarves to move forward. These traps right here, they can do friendly fire, and they will go off when your dwarves are on top of them. So anyways, if you're engaged with enemies and the trap goes off from an enemy, it will also affect your units. So just something to bear in mind carefully there. We do have a little bit of a gap here where maybe I can open this cave over here? I don't know, man. It seems risque. Like, maybe I can open up the trap? I am glad that everything we're fighting is greenskins, because that means we are stacking cheddar right now while we're engaged in combat. How long do I have till this happens? Like 2 minutes? I don't know if I can clear this cave in 2 minutes. The good news is the greenskin scouting party appears to be much faster when it comes to overground movement speed than the other guys. So that's good. I like that. That's helpful. However, what traps can I afford for right now? Just give me 2 lightning traps right there for a nice solid opening salvo. That's going to use up most of my money, which I'm poor again. I hate being poor, but, like, that's life. Eventually, I think the pop cap's going to have to go up, too. I was trying to avoid building more housing, but it sort of feels like more housing is going to have to be built. It's fair. I'm not upset about it. Are you guys, like, having trouble dropping off your gold? Yeah, pathfinding in this game can be, like, notoriously tough. Sometimes they don't drop things off or, like, pathfind. I think that's definitely an area of improvement with this game. As you can see, my soldiers are kind of straining against each other because there's no confined grid with the nav mesh or whatever that it tries to put everybody on, sort of like Total War style. That's how they could get rid of that problem pretty quickly, is by having units in motion kind of like shove around when not in combat and things of that nature. Anyways, all I'm saying is the pathfinding in this game is not idyllic. It could definitely be better, and in fact, that's the main issue I've seen, aside from the fact that the game does have a learning curve, and it is a game with a little bit of difficulty. This is not going to be a game that holds your hand. This is definitely a game that's much more in the realm. Oh, we're under attack right now? All right, let me see where I'm getting attacked from. Am I getting hit? Which corridor am I getting struck through? Oh. It appears as though I've actually... So they could go to any of these tunnels, but they're choosing to go to this rightward tunnel. I don't know that we're getting the maximum amount of mileage out of these. It might be better to take one and have it face that way so it fires through with its cleaving and whatnot. However, the enemy has been whittled down from its previous formidable self into a very, very manageable orc sandwich. And the good news is we've got orc skull bounties, so this should bring in a little bit of cash. Looks like roughly we get paid about 25 bucks per orc. Yeah, looks like the goblins don't count for anything. But the bigger orcs bringing in 25 bucks is actually fairly major, because combat is a thing in this game. Of all the things you're going to be doing, fighting the enemy is probably one of the most common. And so I think that it's a really, really good idea. So if I break this down, what will I get back? About half. Oh, and it destroys the tile. That's kind of a bummer. Okay, well, I'll take you out, and I'll put one right here. Ooh, I've already got a lightning trap right there. Okay, so what I would like to do then is I want to put it back. I don't know what the radius is on the lava trap. What does the lava trap do? Magma trap. A wall trap that generates a torrent of hot magma dealing 400 over 3 seconds. 60-second. I wonder if it, like, does it leave the lava on the ground, though, so that they can all walk through it? Because that, to me, is what makes this idea appealing by comparison to its contemporaries. I don't know. Let's try. All orcs, I direct you to walk directly in front of the sinister, definitely not threatening glowing wall. Nothing bad will happen to you if you walk in front of the sinister glowing death wall. I promise. Completely and totally safe. Completely and totally union mandated. Everything is fine. Let's bring them over here to heal. We may have a gap in between this wave and this wave. It says we've got, like, what, 8 minutes? So there's a 6-minute gap in between those. We can probably clear this zombie cave down here, too, in that amount of time, just to give my miners something else to work on. And actually, in the meantime, we can also set up the minecart grid to get them there faster. There we go. That'll make pickups and drop-offs a lot easier once we get this wall down, because there's a couple money tiles right here. They're going to make us a decent chunk of change, I think. Our cash flow seems to be sort of secured for the next little bit. I mean, cash is taking a dip just because it's taken us a long time to get down here. But each drop-off should be like $300 or so, and that on top of tax revenue I think will work out. And then we can exploit this area after this wave before the Cyclopeans arrive. And once the Cyclopeans get here, that's actually going to be a fight. Like a fight. Like, that's going to be an actual legit fight. I need all of you guys to hang out over here. And then from there, I need all of my shooters. It looks like they're already in the back, so that's nice. Don't have to worry about them doing anything too crazy. We do have some runic knowledge to play around with. Let's maybe... So as far as this goes, is there a thing I can do? Ooh, 80% of the building's cost. Every miner you build has a chance to give you a free engineer. Immediately gain 15 iron and 15 engineering parts. I was hoping there would be a perk around here somewhere that if I'm capped out on iron and I'm capped out on cogs, it will sell the surplus. That's what I was hoping would be a thing. But it doesn't appear as though that actively is a thing. I do think tanking, we can do that with stone, actually. So maybe that'll help. We've also got $250 for opening up an unexplored cave. That seems like something I should have taken early as well. Apparently, just bad at my job. Didn't see that hiding in there. There we go. We're capped out on stone. So now we've got money coming on in. That fixed my economy issues. Are they going the predictable way? Oh yeah, it just sits there and like farts flames on all of them. We may need a few more traps on that front. I mean, we're definitely killing. Like, we're killing at an aggressive, murderous rate. So that's one thing that I'm thankful for. However, ow, wizard. Okay, go after the wizard. That's your job, is kill wizard. Oh, I don't think he can break. There he goes. He broke through. All right, go get the wizard. That wizard is an issue. He keeps firing, like, orcish death lasers at me. And I'm just, like, not okay with that exchange. Oh, he's got magic missiles, too. Look at you over here with your beginner's spell book. Look at you. All right, you get out of there. And I think we actually pulled that off without any casualties. Everybody go on over and go to the tavern. I do have extra parts. I do have extra money. So now's the time to get a little bit wild and crazy about how many traps I can hit the enemy from in this angle. And the lightning traps seem to give me the biggest mileage. I'll fill in the rest of this with spike traps before they get here. But for now, it seems to be going okay. But yeah, this is Beneath the Mountain. I hope you guys liked it. I think this game is really, really rad. It does have a high difficulty curve. It's still definitely in early access. There are rough edges, like the pathfinding, that will annoy you from time to time, where you're like, how come you guys are all standing in a corner running against one another? You know what I mean? And like certain features, like people going to eat, doesn't always kick in, and then you got to make them go do it manually. You know, like there are little things in there that you're just kind of like, okay, so how does this not work? But like at the same time, I do think that there's a delightful sense of meta that's kind of progressing around this game, where taking certain combinations of upgrades and taking certain things that work in cohesion with one another to make you stronger start to have like this very, very delightful parallelism. That means that, you know, if you plan your upgrades out and whatnot very, very carefully, you can get some really cool stacking bonuses in this game that end up making your characters, like, really, really strong. So anyways, I've been enjoying the title. I think it's fun after an initial learning curve. At first, I thought the game was way too hard because this is a game that comes at you fast, just like they are Billions. It's not a game that pulls punches. From the first wave on, this game is actively trying to kill you. And getting this death wall set up like I have over here was really like the tricky part in kind of balancing my finances and making sure I had the things available to me at the given moment to eliminate those enemies was, I think, the tough part. But anyways, I don't think they're taking down this wall over here, but I need them to. It's time for me to go. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what is worthwhile in the world of games of the indie variety so that you don't have to. Today up on the chopping block, we had Beneath the Mountain. It's only like 5 or 6 months since my last coverage from when I checked. So unfortunately, we're a little bit close in proximity on this one. I do feel guilty about it, but I feel like my last coverage basically had like not a whole lot of feedback, largely due to the fact that the game was, you know, still like a demo. It hadn't been released. It wasn't being sold for money. This time around, the game is being sold for money, and so my thoughts are presentation-wise, appearance-wise, I think the game is a lot of fun. However, there are some pathfinding issues that will happen from time to time that are going to need to be fixed about as soon as possible. That's largely my biggest grievance with the game. I do think that they've made strides into making the game run better. One of my big concerns, I think, from when I played the demo was that the game had performance issues. It really, really struggled under load when there was a lot of enemies around. That doesn't seem to be the case anymore. I haven't gotten up to like ridiculously huge like 100-guy battles yet. Some people have reported on Steam that there's a battle that they fought that took them something like 3 weeks to resolve when they got further on into the game. Haven't gotten to that point yet. I'm still only like a year or so into the game. However, we are getting up to battles with 80 or 90 guys, and it's still running flawlessly, smoothly on the highest setting, which compared to the demo, which lagged out super hard, even on like medium settings, represents that the developer recognizes that there was a weakness inherent in his title, and he's actively working on it to get it moving. And so anyways, I think there's progress being made. I think the game is playing better than ever as of right now. The pathfinding and the auto enemy selection when combat is joined are really my only two main concerns. Those are the two things that can be a little bit sketchy. Other than that, I have enjoyed my time with the game over the 4 or 5 hours I spent getting ready for this video, playing it, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I will see you all later. Thank you for stopping on in, and that's about all I've got. Bye, everybody.